Hello fellow cyborgs, today I would like to show you some books that I am unhauling. I know that unhaul videos are pretty popular on BookTube and they're pretty easy to make. I don't do an awful lot of unhaul videos simply because I kind of forget to. I am constantly culling my shelves and I just kind of take them off and get rid of them almost immediately. But these books haven't yet been given away and they're titles that I think you might have heard me speak about and so would probably be interested in hearing why I'm not going to be reading them or I'm getting rid of them. This first one is The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, and this happens to be translated by Henry Francis Carey. This is the Borders Leatherbound Classics edition. I've had this book since I was about 16 and decided that these old-looking, gothic-looking leatherbound books were cool, but I've never had the urge to pick it up since, and I figured that if I didn't find the time or the will to pick this up when Adam from Memento Mori was doing his read-along of this over, I think it was the summer or the fall, something like that, then I would probably never find the motivation to pick this up. And the only reason why this has remained on my shelves is because it's such a pretty edition. I'm taking this off my shelves. I haven't 100% decided whether or not I'm just going to put it under my bed where it doesn't have to look at me, or if I'm actually going to get rid of it, but I'm tired of staring at the spine and thinking, wow, that was probably a wasted purchase, and also thinking, and yet it's so pretty and I can't get a similar copy now without having to go on eBay, so should I get rid of it? It's just, I mean, I'm conflicted, but if this was a not pretty copy of The Divine Comedy, I would have unhauled this years ago. Next is Soulless and the rest of the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger. I've read Soulless and its follow-up Changeless. So I've read the first two and I really enjoyed both of them, but for those of you who have read this series or at least read book 2, you know that something really kind of annoying and ridiculous and drama-filled happens at the end of the second book, which makes me really not inclined to pick up book 3, which, you know, I haven't yet picked up book 3 and it's been a couple years since I read the second book. I've been told by a dear friend who loves this series that there are secondary characters who make the 3rd, 4th, and 5th books really awesome, and I'm looking forward to that, but not imminently, and if I want to finish the series, then I can just check these out from the library. I don't need to have the 5 mass market paperbacks on my shelves, and especially not those 3 on my TBR shelf when I'm trying to get my TBR shelf down to 0 by the end of this year. So I intend to eventually finish the Parasol Protectorate series, but I just don't need to own my own copies of them. These are 2 Margaret Atwood books. We have Eating Fire, which is selections of her poetry, and then On Writers and Writing. I recently saw Ileana's video from Virginia Woolf on the controversies happening at UBC and generally within the public view of the Canadian news about women coming forward and accusing men in power of sexual harassment, sexual assault, or rape, and then their cases being dismissed and the men being supported by public figures. In this case, there was a UBC creative writing head who was recently fired because there were accusations of sexual assault, who was also a writer. I don't remember his name. I will link Ileana's video down below. And then some prominent Canadian writers such as Joseph Boyden, Michael Ondaatje, and Margaret Atwood signed a letter saying that that teacher didn't get due process and he was unfairly treated, and pretty much just completely disregarding the rape culture and the rape accusations and how completely messed up the situation is. So Ileana asked those who are watching the channel to really think about the authors that they are talking about on their channel and that they're reading, and I decided that Margaret Atwood's writing does not matter to me as much as rape victims and sexual assault survivors being heard and being respected, so bye. Not talking about that woman anymore on this channel. Next is a book that if you are also a subscriber of Leanne from Literary Diversions, you will know that we both DNF'd Tigana by Guy Gavriel Kay. This is the second Guy Gavriel Kay that I've read. A couple years ago in 2013 or 2014 read The Lions of Al Rassan and I really liked it. And I've had this on my shelves pretty much ever since. I think I got to page 50 to 60, which was, I don't know, like 10% in or whatever, and I just didn't care. Those first 50 to 60 pages were filled with world building and politics and not with me getting to know a character that I would care about for 600-700 pages. I just didn't want to pick this up it, it made me not want to read, so we both decided to DNF, and I don't plan on giving this a try in the future, though I plan on giving perhaps others of his books a try in the future, so I just don't need this big mass market paperback on my shelves, so I am going to unhaul it. I DNF'd and gave it a 2-star rating because I wasn't hating it. It was just okay, but I don't want to waste my time on just okay books right now. And the last book I want to talk to you about today is a quite unpopular opinion in light of the recent Mothbox, and that is Call of the Undertow by Linda Cracknell. I purchased this in early 2016 and was really excited for it. It's got a high rating on Goodreads. It had a lot of buzzwords that intrigued me, like it's taking place in Scotland. It seems to have a lot of solitude and solitary characters. There's a cartographer, there's an odd, imaginative young boy, and questions of motherhood and blah, 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 blah. But then I kept saving it, which was probably a bad idea. And then when I saw that it was included in the November, I believe, Mothbox, I thought that I should probably just read this right now. And I ended up DNFing it on page like 89 of like less than 300 pages, 245 pages long. I DNF'd this, I think, with a 2-star rating as well. I thought that the writing style wasn't that great. I didn't care about the characters, and I thought that the way you could call this writing lyrical was not the way that I like my lyrical writing. The way that this author approached describing the beautiful nature scenes was very factual, topographical, using specific plant names that I'm not familiar with because I do not live in the UK, I don't live in Scotland. So if I wanted to accurately paint this mental picture that this author painstakingly took the time to write, I would be on Google image searching every 5 minutes. It just made this world not come alive for me. And I also just didn't like any of the characters. None of them were compelling. I wasn't curious about them. So I got 89 pages in and I didn't care. And so I stopped and I gave this 2 stars because I didn't hate it, but I just didn't care. And again, I do not have time for 2-star books. So this is very disappointing because I had such high hopes for this, but it happens, but it happens. So those are some of the recent books that I will be unhauling. Please let me know in the comments down below if you've recently unhauled anything, because I think that everyone's kind of curious about the sorts of things that just aren't gelling with us and aren't going to be staying on our bookshelves. Until next time, thank you for watching, and please continue to be lovely. And thank you, patrons, for supporting me and this channel on Patreon. I hope that you are having a lovely February, and until next time, that you are having a wonderful day.